all of this has to get done. Everything has to be right. If not, I can be punished. Welcome to the Black Mother Wound podcast, where we center the stories of Black women as we heal from the painful relationships with our mothers. Welcome back to the Black Mother Wound podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Arnice. What is going on, boo? How are you? I hope you're well. I'm happy to be here. I have been traveling for most of July. I just got back from Arizona Sunday, and I'm just tired, but it's a good tired. You know how to say like a good trouble? It's like a good tired. I went on a girls' trip and I had a ball. This has been my first girls' trip in probably 20 years where there's been multiple women. And I'm bringing this up because I had told myself a story that I cannot travel with more than one or two other people. Really, I don't want to go somewhere if it just need to be two of us. Because when there's more than two women together, there's confusion, there's chaos, there's ill feelings, you got to tiptoe, all this kind of stuff like that. Because those were experiences with the relationships with women that I had coming up. This was in my 20s, right? And then I come along, and through one of my oldest and closest friends, I meet her friend group. And I have dinner with them, and there's like 16 of us at the table. And this is not this trip. This is back in January. I think I told y'all about this. And I had a ball. And I was very concerned going in because it's of, you know what? I don't even know if I can put it on the women I was with. I put it on the responsibilities that I thought were mine. And I felt like I was responsible for everyone. Even if I wasn't paying for them, I was somehow responsible for people having a good time, things going well. It was just a blanket emotion. It's not really an emotion. Well, it's responsibility. It's codependence. It was blanket codependence is what it was. And I know I've been doing my own work. And so it's like, was the group of women different or was I different? You know what I mean? And I think it's a combination of both. But I think if I wouldn't have done the work I had done on myself in healing, when she invited me, I may or may not have gone because I'd have been like, "Oh, it's 15 women. Yeah, I ain't going to that. Nah." And I wouldn't have went. So I don't even know what would have happened. I would have thought I was protecting my peace, right? But really, I was not able to manage my own emotions, my own feelings of responsibility for other people, my own overfunctioning. Okay, that's what the issue was. And so a smaller group of these women went on the trip to Scottsdale, and I was invited, and I had a fucking ball. I remember coming back home and saying to myself, I feel loved. Like I feel, and I like to break down loved, right? So I'm gonna remove the word love. I felt appreciated. I felt valued. I felt embraced. I felt welcomed on the warmest, deepest level. And then I was like, this is the other thing. Because I would say, oh, I've never felt love. And I didn't feel like I belonged and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, was I not being loved in certain situations? Or did I not have the capacity to feel and recognize what being loved felt like? It's like, was it them loving me, or is it me having a bigger vessel to receive love and care and adoration from people? And I know for a fact I can say my capacity has changed, right? So I'm not even, and that I'm telling you all this because we make so much of our experience about other people, mainly because so much of our experience is rooted in how our mother treated us and we didn't have any power. So we look at all relationships in that powerlessness, right? From that perspective and from the assumption that everybody is going to treat us like her, right? And at the same time, even though we don't like how we're treated, we still are gravitating toward those people, which then makes us believe those are our only options. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to explain my experience so it can help you and as I'm processing at the same time, right? Because one of the biggest, I will say, one of the most painful parts of having a mother wound is the feeling of loneliness. You know, that feeling that you don't belong, that you're never at home, that you never feel welcome, you never feel embraced. And the conclusion that we come to is that that is a fact and that is the way it is. Okay. And what I want you to become curious about and to investigate, and this wasn't even my original topic, but I got something for y'all. I got something for you. I want you to investigate and become more curious about the things that you have solidified as true in your life. And I say that because I get a lot of DMs and emails from people who have they think they've made this decision. I'm just better off alone. I've been hurt too much. There's no one out there for me. There are no people out there. It's better, it's safer if I'm just alone. And I feel bad for those people because the relational wound has done so much damage that you think all relationships are that way. And you don't have the skill set to build new relationships. And the skill set is really not an external skill set. It's not about how you are with other people. The skill set is what I talked about last week, how you make deposits into your own self so you increase your capacity for feeling nurtured, appreciated, valued. And because of that, you now are drawn to different people, right? And that capacity to be nurtured, cared for, appreciated, and valued is not one that others build. Other people cannot build that capacity for you. It's like, oh, if I get around enough loving people, I will feel worthy of love. No, you have to be pouring that into yourself. So it's like, oh, I have examples, right? So remember what I said last week. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, this might not make all the sense in the world. So go back and listen to last week's episode about where I am in my healing journey and how I, the analogy I used of a bank account. If I'm pouring into myself, if I'm making those deposits into myself, right? And I'm seeing my emotional and mental bank balance go up, right? I show up differently. Guess what then happens? Other people start making deposits because that's what I felt this past weekend. I felt the deposits of other women, them already recognizing the value that I have in myself, the care I have for myself, the joy I have with myself. And then it's like, well, damn, I want some of that. I'm going to pour into that because guess what? I'm going to then dividend them. They're going to benefit from my presence, right? And that's what happened. And I just want everyone to feel that. I think people can feel like they're too far gone. If you've started watching me more recently, like maybe over the last year, you don't know my story. You don't know how unworthy I felt and how that showed up in my relationships with friends, with men, with family, with money. You don't know how far I've come. And I don't want anybody to think that what I'm talking about is aspirational, right? Or there's a limit to how much you can change your fucking life, because there really isn't a limit. And I always tell y'all, like, I'm just getting started. I'm not even near whatever. There is no limit, first of all, but I'm not even near cresting, peaking, or any of that shit, right? This is the warm up. Okay. This is the warm up. And you know what's funny? Though some of this stuff I'm talking about, like today and last week, I would have never had these conversations with y'all, because I would have been judging myself so harshly and being like, who do you think you are to say that? Who do you think you are to act that way? Who do you like? All, like, there was so much self-loathing that I would cut myself off at the knees. I would dim my own light before I even let somebody see it. Okay? Before I even let somebody see it. So being able to pour into yourself naturally changes how you show up in the world, which also impacts how you're able to experience people, right? Without the anxiety. The old me would not have been able to enjoy that vacation, because I would have had so much fucking anxiety about so many stupid things I can't even think of now. But I know me, and I remember those experiences where I could never really relax, but you wouldn't even know I wasn't relaxed, because I would have a good performative happy face on, but my mind would just be rolling with worry, right? And it's just another example of how healing shows up in your life, but you have to be doing the work yourself and building the relationship with yourself first in order to pull, I'm not even gonna say pull people in, to be attracted to people who pour back into you. Because you mad about the people who aren't pouring back into you, but you don't leave them alone because you think that's who everybody is. And that's not true. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there. What I want to say is, like, this is a part of the whole process. This is a part of the whole healing process. This is a dividend. This first part, this little dividend video. This was the payback for doing the work. And I fucking love it. Now, what I came on here to talk about, and I think they go together, is, and I'm looking at my whiteboard because I wrote the title down, because I was like, we're going to talk about this today. And we are. So this is like a twofer. You cannot make everything a priority. If you are healing, if you are becoming, if you are unfolding, if you are on this journey, the last thing you can do is make everything a priority. You have to accept your limitations. And I think even with me being able to enjoy myself, I accepted certain limitations. There were certain things I didn't want to do, certain things I couldn't do, certain things I didn't know how to do. I was okay with that. Everything was not going to fit. And that was okay. It was like, it wasn't about a trip being perfect. It was about me being so relaxed that nothing could, rattle me. And again, that lets us know it's not about what's happening out there. It really is about what's happening inside and the peace that you have established through your own safety, through your own authority and your own autonomy, right? But when you are trying to make everything a priority, it's kind of like the same as trying to make everything perfect. I'm trying to get all these things done. Everything is important. And if I don't get everything done, then I'm a failure. This is so tied to how we hustle for worthiness. And you have to come to a point, and I want that point to be today, not tomorrow or next week. I want it to be as you're listening. Whatever your name is, I'll say mine, Jennifer. I accept my limitations. I accept what I cannot do. I accept what I'm not good at. I accept what I don't have the bandwidth to do. Right? And it's okay. And I still am worthy of love, because all of this, you getting everything done, is you saying, okay, now I'm good enough to be loved, that I have this done, that I'm doing this. And there is nothing to do to be worthy of love, right? And so when I talk about everything can't be a priority, we're going back to how you spend your time, because how you spend your time determines how you treat yourself. That is why time management is important, because how you run your day dictates how you treat yourself. And if everything is a priority in your life, then I can guarantee that you are mistreating yourself, because you don't even know what is really important. And you are probably believing what somebody else said should be important. And guess what? It might be important to them and it might be important to you, but everything can't be a priority. You can't handle everything at a high level. And I'm going to give you my example that I have, right? My example is working out. I really want to work out. I really want to lose some of the weight that I have accumulated over the last 20 years. And I have had spurts of time where working out and fitness have been my top priority. And when that happened, I lost weight. I got in shape. I was fit. You know what I'm saying? I could run a few miles without passing out. I was good. I am not in that place right now. I have other things that are priorities. And I have been kind of beating myself up like, oh, you need to work out every morning. Oh, why didn't you get up this morning? And like I'm like chastising myself. And I came to the conclusion a few days ago, like, you're not going to get up and work out in the morning. You're just not. And you're not going to do it in the evening because of other things that are priorities, right? There's like a main character, and then there are supporting characters as far as things going on in my life. And for me to work out consistently, it has to be the number one thing going on for me. It has to be the priority. My whole day for me has to be wrapped around what time I get up in the morning. Are my clothes already ready to work out in? Are they clean? Do I know what the workout is going to be? What am I going to eat? What time am I going to bed? All of those things. I'm checking my phone. Well, if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm checking my phone because my son is getting his hair twisted and I thought he might be calling me. He just sent me a text. But anyway, it has to be the number one thing. What I'm eating has to be a priority. So now we've got time for cooking. We've got grocery shopping. We got meal prep. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but I'm just saying right now, it cannot be a priority. So guess what I did? I took it off the table. I took it off the table. If I have time to walk, I'll walk. Something will change at some point. My priorities will shift. I'll get back to it. It might creep back up in there. There might be things I can do with eating where it's like, well, I'm eating right, but I'm not working out. It's okay. I used to beat myself up so bad for not working out. And I was, because I believed if I worked out and I got to be a certain size, guess what? People would love me. And I'm the reason people don't love me because I haven't worked out and my body doesn't look good enough. I have deemed something not good enough, right? That can knock me out of the realm of worthiness of love. And that shit is just fucking crazy. And that's just my example. And I know you have your own example. I don't know who this is for, but it came to me so strong that everything cannot be a priority. And I do think when we stress ourselves out with unattainable priorities, it is a trauma response. It is all of this has to get done. Everything has to be right. If not, I can be punished. I can be rejected. I can be abandoned. So I want you to think about the reasoning behind the priorities. I want you to think about the timetables that you give yourself, right? And what they're rooted in, where they came from, why you believe them. And then I want you to get curious and I want you to investigate. Is there another way to see this? Is there another way to do this? Right? We think, oh, because, well, I want to have my master's degree before I get married. Like, that's just an example, right? I want to have my master's before I get married, and I'm 27 and I want to be married at 30. So I need to hurry to get my master's degree because if I don't, like, you have created a whole imaginary world and timeline where you are forcing yourself to unnaturally prioritize something based off of something that doesn't even exist. But you have now invested money, you have invested time, you have committed to it, and there are other things you want to do. There are other things that are important, but because you have created a limitation on your life, now your ass is tired and you're frustrated and you wonder why nobody's helping you and nobody's there for you. And why is it taking so long? And what if it doesn't work? And you have stressed yourself completely out because you have tried to make everything a priority because you think having it all means something. That's when you will be happy. That's when you can relax. That's when you'll be safe. One, you never have it all at the same time. You know what I mean? Because y'all can get this podcast every week or I can work out. I don't know if you're going to get both, especially with the other things I have going on, right? There's some projects that I want to do in my house. And I already talked to myself earlier this summer, like you can travel and go have fun or you can do projects at your house. Now I just did another big project. I just did a big project at my house in April in my backyard. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to have a good time. I would not be able to do both. And if I tried to do both, I would not be able to enjoy myself and I really wouldn't get what I wanted because I would be compromising in both areas to where the quality of both of these priorities would plummet. And there'd be and I still wouldn't like it when it's all said and done, right? Because I'm forcing myself in some type of corner. And I think when we make everything a priority, it's also this thing where we really don't have authority over our life. Like we don't feel like I can say no. I don't feel like I do have a choice. I have to do all of the things. That is absolutely how your mother wound is showing up because you do have the authority to say, no, I don't think I'm going to do that tonight. You know, You can't prioritize hanging out and studying. I'm not, or I can come, but I have to leave early. Or if we're gonna go to dinner, I can go to dinner at 6:30, so I'm home by 8:30, but I can't go to dinner at 8:30 or 9. That's how you do that. And people who try to do everything and make everything a priority generally also have poor boundaries. Okay. So that goes together. But this is not about boundaries with other people. I guess having I don't want to say clear priorities, realistic priorities, priorities that don't cause you to abandon or shame or reject yourself. Okay? Uh, it takes time to create those. It takes commitment to create those. And what you'll see is you actually become more productive. You'll actually have more to show. And you'll have it without being exhausted, without feeling downtrodden, without regret, without resentment. Because to me, that's more important. I think the way we were raised, resentment and regret were so normal. It was just like a part of the package. That's just how you're going to feel about life. And that is some bullshit. But if you are pressing yourself so hard, that's what you're creating. But for you, it feels like a normal thing. For me, it felt like a normal thing to be stressed out. Like that's a positive, to feel angst. Oh, that must mean something's happening. And no, that doesn't mean something is happening. And you don't need to prove anything to anyone, especially yourself, when it comes to how you lay out your life and how you prioritize on a daily basis and how you prioritize on a grander scale for the goals that you have. Okay. You have to first and foremost, have the environment of safety, have the environment of compassion and grace and patience for yourself. And from there, you prioritize. You don't prioritize from a space of all this stuff has to get done. I'm not good enough. What are they going to think about me? Comparing yourself to others. That is not how you begin to set priorities. And I'm talking about this because remember, I always say healing is an action word. And this is how you can make those changes in your everyday life. And they create a sense of authority, they create a sense of safety. So they create autonomy and healing of your mother wound. These are just ways that you can do it in a very practical way where it's not just sitting home, you're not just meditating, you're not just praying, you're not just journaling. No, like this is your real life and how you can show up in it differently because that is what I want for you. Okay. That's all I got. That's what I have. What's it say on the whiteboard? Everything cannot be a priority. Everything cannot be. I don't know who that's for or why it's so important, but it is. And it needed to be said today. Take all you need and leave the rest. I'm so happy that you're here. I love y'all dearly. I've gotten better at replying to comments on YouTube. So keep them coming. I'm about to go and run some errands, get my life together. I will see you next week, next Tuesday. I love you dearly. Don't let nobody play in your motherfucking face. Deuces.